It's a long journey through western Zulia state to the Yukpa people's ancestral land. Rough roads and checkpoints mark the way. After several hours, we finally arrive at a Yukpa settlement and meet Sabinito Romero. His father Sabino fought for decades to secure this land for his people. He was killed on March 3rd. Now the community is under police protection.
Cattle ranchers, the army, and the government were all watching him. People thought you had to kill the leader, my father, because he was fighting for indigenous land for years.
Romero's family is still mourning the loss. They feel rudderless without him. On the day that he was killed, Romero had just voted at the bottom of this hill in a local election here in his community. He was shot while riding his motorcycle through the village, and a local member of the community came out and found him here, barely breathing and unconscious. In 2000, Hugo Chavez launched a program to give indigenous groups back much of their historic lands. So far, the government has redistributed more than 15,000 hectares to the Yukpa and 1 million hectares to other indigenous communities across Venezuela. But the Yukpa are still waiting to get back most of their land. There are competing interests here in the foothills of these mountains near the Colombian border.
These indigenous lands are rich in coal, phosphate, and uranium. And the ranch owners are a powerful and armed group. These people have fended off the Yukpa and the government.
Romero was the 8th land activist murdered in these parts over the past 27 years. The Yukpa suspect local ranchers, but the murders have never been solved. Friar Nelson Sandoval is a missionary in Yukpa territory. He says Romero was known to be violent, but he blames his death and the wider conflict on the government.
I think the main problem here is that the national government, under orders from President Hugo Chavez, hasn't paid for the ranches that were included in the land reform.
After his father's murder, Sabinito led a delegation that met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Caracas. The government promised to pay for the land by the end of May.
We're going to see if they make that payment. If not, we'll occupy the presidential palace or the vice presidential offices and fill the streets of Caracas.
As he waits for the government to fulfill its promise, the community is building for the future, hoping one day this land will be theirs. Raney, Jazeera, and Machiques in western Venezuela.